Hi, it's Vex, and today we have our last deck tech of Innistrad Crimson's Vow. We have our friend, the Spirit Soldier, Millicent, Restless, Revenant. Now, I'm very sad because the name is Millicent, but has nothing to do with milling. Why would you name a commander Millicent? This should have been Bruvac's name. At last, you know, sometimes they just name things wrong. But Millicent is now our Spirit Commander. Now what Millicent does, let's read Millicent real quick here. 5 white blue, don't worry, it's not a 7 mana value commander, or it is 7 mana value commander, but this spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control. So you do get discount, and this does discount commander attacks, which is really cool. Flying, whenever Millicent, Restless, Revenant, or another non-token spirit you control dies, okay, or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. So let's unpack that real quick. As you can see, I have a bunch of spirit tokens from Crimson Vow. So what we want to do is create lots of spirits, attack with lots of spirits, and create more spirits. Now, when you create lots of spirits, you know, like regular spirit cards or spirit tokens, it does reduce Millicent's casting cost. Then when you attack, I mean not attack, deal damage, you make more spirits, or when they die, you make more spirits, which is really cool. It's kind of like a double trigger. And I've never really seen a commander has the double trigger. Usually it's deal combat damage, do something, or dies, do something. This is deal combat damage and dies. So board wipes aren't that bad for Millicent. If you have, you know, your regular spirits, let's find some regular spirits, like a Spectral Captain stuff. Here and other spirits, you can just do a board wipe, and then they'll make spirits. Millicent will go back to command zone right here. Then those spirits will help cast Millicent again. So it's really cool how Millicent works. I'm still sad that Millicent is not a mill card. Now I have to keep saying Millicent over again without saying mill. Moving on, let's get to the spirits. But before then, don't forget your tokens here. And I have a lot of spirit tokens. And I have the deck list in the description below right there if you want to check it out. First, we have our Spirit Lords. Now, notice spirits are usually low mana value, low CMC cards. The idea of this deck is we just want to dump a bunch of spirits out, get Millicent on the board, and start just attacking and making more spirits. Now remember, this trigger only triggers on non-tokens, so the tokens don't trigger Millicent, but you know, these regular spirits do. The cool part about spirits is most of them have flying, which means they're very evasive, so you always try to attack the person who doesn't have flying creatures. We only have 5 lords. I wish they made more spirit lords, but you know, it is what it is. We have the Supreme Phantom, just a regular spirit lord. Spectral Captain gives him hexproof, which is super cool. It means Millicent would have hexproof with Spectral Captain on the board. Patrician Geist, you know, flying. Other spirits get +1/+1. It has another ability, spells you cast from graveyard cost 1 less cast. We're not really casting a lot of cards from graveyard. We're just using the other spirits to get +1/+1. We have Metallic Mimic, which is a 2 mana value, which is really good. You know, you keep playing spirits, 1 mana value, 2 mana value, 3 mana value for maybe Millicent. Metallic Mimic has this cool ability where each other creature you control the chosen type, which is spirit, only spirit, right? And just a battlefield additional +1/+1 counter on it. It doesn't say non-token, so all your spirits from Millicent enter with +1/+1 counters. And if Metallic Mimic dies, they still keep the +1/+1 counters. It's really cool. Dry Skull Reinforcements. This is new from the Crimson Vow Commander deck, which I kind of like this card. It's 3 and a white. Let's see what it does here. It does some cool things. Has melee. Melee is whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attack this combat. So again, cool. It's cool going wide, and then if your spirits die, you know, if you have Millicent on the board, you get a little token, so it doesn't hurt too bad. Then other spirits you control have melee, so they get bigger too. Then prevent all non-combat damage that we've dealt to spirits you control. That's really good. So if somebody does a Blasphemous Act, Draw School Reinforcements will prevent the non-combat damage, and everything survives. It's great. Next, we have the token generators here. Again, trying to keep the spirits cheap, so these 4 are cheap. This one's really expensive at 7 mana value, but you know, you gotta have some big bombs at the end of your curve. Clarion Spirit, whenever you catch a second spell each turn, create a spirit. And it's easy to do in this deck because you know, when you attack and you hit and make more spirits, we actually have lots of cards like Reconnaissance Mission to draw more cards as you deal damage to players. So this should be easy to trigger. Next we have Oyobi, who split the heavens. God, I hope I pronounced that right. It's a spirit legend, and then when you play a spirit or arcane spell, just spirit is important. Put a 3/3 white spirit creature token with flying to play. I actually don't have that token, so you know, always use an Infi token if you don't have the token. Hallowed Spirit Keeper has where spirit in name is not a spirit, it's just an avatar. But when it dies, create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So this helps, again, if you raft yourself or somebody else rafts, you put a bunch of spirits in the graveyard, you get a bunch of spirits from Millicent, and then when this dies, you get more, more spirits. It's great. Then let's switch these here. You have Geist of St. Traft. Used to be a very powerful commander. Not a lot of people play it that much anymore. It's got hexproof. He's like a Voltron commander. Then when it attacks, right here, create one of these 4/4 angels. And then end of combat, exile the token. Bam. And they have Dorothea, Vengeful Victim, which is a kind of callback to Geist of St. Traft. Flying, when it attacks or blocks, sacrifice at the end of combat, so it's like a one-turn thing. But it's got backside, of course, right? It's a double-face card. It's got the Dorothea's Retribution, which essentially gives you the Geist of St. Traft trigger, the 4/4 angel trigger. So that's pretty neat. Again, you get a cheap creature, and then if you attack or block, you can instantly trigger Millicent. And the backside lets you do, the Geist of St. Traft coolness. If you didn't know, spirits are kind of like, they have a little theme of being a little disruptive. So we have some disruptive spirits here. Again, trying to keep the mana value down, so you just want to spit them out real quick. Start attacking, getting other spirits, or drawing cards from our other card draws, which we'll get to eventually. I keep alluding to it, but we'll get to it. Mausoleum Wanderer right here. The important part is counter target instant or sorcery spell unless controller pays X, where X is Mausoleum Wanderer's power. It's 1 mana value, so really good. You can get in there really quickly. Malevolent Hermit. This is really cool. I like this. It's not a spirit on the front side. Right here, you sack, you counter target non-creature spell unless controller pays 3, which is really good. You do want to sack it early and often to get Benevolent Geist right here, which is a spirit, and then the cool part is non-creature spells you control can't be countered right there. So you put that in the graveyard and try to get your spirit out quickly. It's good for disruption. Unsettled Mariner is a shapeshifter, so it's changeling right here, which is a spirit. And then whenever a permanent you control becomes target of spell ability, opponent controls counter a spell unless they pay an extra 1, so it just taxes the opponent, which is really good. Kira, Great Glass Spinner, which is a legendary creature spirit. It's the real one which you want to have in play, because what it does is creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes target of spell or ability for the first time each turn, counter a spell ability. So if you want to remove even Kira, you have to target it twice, swords it twice or something. So it's really good to protecting all your creatures. It doesn't protect against board wipes, but that's what Millicent's there for. Spell Queller here, it just exiles a spell 4 mana value or greater, and then when it dies, you get to cast a spell. But really, really good disruption. It's not like hard countering, but it just keeps your opponents off their feet a little while for you to set up. Here we have more cheap spirits. Again, as you see, nothing's more than mana value 3. It's 2 or 3, which is where we want. And we have Rattle Chains, grants hexproof and gives spirits flash, which is insane. This is protection types spirits here. You do want to protect your spirits. They are small. So you have Selfless Spirit, gives them indestructible. Does stand from board wipe. I know Millicent will give you more spirits, but sometimes you're not ready to have them all die. Guardian of the Faith, when ETBs, any number of other target creatures you control phase out. So essentially more board wipe protection. Unfortunately, you have to hold this up at flash speed to protect your stuff and keep 3 mana open. So this is a little hard to play, but some people don't play around it very well. Again, this is the Teferi's Protection spot. I don't have Teferi's Protection in the deck because Guardian of the Faith is just my Teferi's Protection. Spectral Shepherd. Again, this is not flashiest of spirits, but it is a cheap spirit, does fly. And then you could pay 1 in blue, return target spirit you control to its owner's hand, so you can save some spirits. Nebelgast Herald, it's got the flash, and then when it or another spirit enters the battlefield, tap target creature, so can tap down some flying blockers and just do a little disruptive element, as I said before, to poke in there. Shacklegeist here can only block creatures with flying, and then you can tap 2 untapped spirits you control, tap target creature you don't control, which is again good. You could just tap creatures, tap some flying blockers, get in there, make more spirits, tap more creatures. So Shacklegeist is extremely good with Millicent. Helps you just multiply your force. Here we have some removal spirits. Skylight Apparition does remove a non-token permanent mana value 4 or greater, 4 or less, sorry, and then temporarily until it dies. Nika Ona removes a enchantment. You can exile Hanged Executioner, exile target creature. So this is actually the only hard removal we have. I mean, I guess Nico Ona does some hard removal. And then it comes with a Spirit Front, which is cool. Now, the most cool card that I've seen is Faithbound Judge. Now, the front part is not that interesting, right? 1 white, Defender, Flying, Vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Faithbound Judge has 2 or fewer judgment counters on it, put a judgment counter on it. So you keep putting judgment counters on it. As long as Faithbound Judge has 3 or more judgment counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Now that's cool at all. Then you keep on attacking, try to suicide it. What you want to do is get it in the graveyard for its disturb cost, 5 white, so 7 mana value. Sinner's Judgment. This I call is player removal right here. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a judgment counter on Sinner's Judgment. If there are 3 or more judgment counters on it, enchanted player loses the game. This is an enchantment or a curse, so enchant player. If Sinner's Judgment will be put in the graveyard from anywhere, exile. So that is player removal, and it's like a ticking clock, which is super fun. I've never got to have this go off. Never really played the card yet, but when I do, it's gonna be amazing. So I recommend you definitely have this card in your deck. Starting with some card draw, we have more. Trust me. We have some spirits that can draw cards. Spectral Shepherd, Flying Flash, 1, very, very important. That's 1 mana value. Pay 3 to blue, draw a card. Ghostly Pilferer. Whenever opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, maybe the command zone perhaps, draw a card. Then when you play a Spirit or Arcane spell, you may draw a card. This is a hefty one, Sire of the Storm. It does cost 6 mana value. The other ones are cheaper. Welcoming Vampire. Well, this is not a spirit, but I think it's very important because you are playing small creatures. Is whenever 1 or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Right there. It doesn't say non-token, so you can make it token, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, which is okay. You can draw 1 card a turn, but again, your opponent's going to get Flash and Spectral Shepherd, draw a card from Welcoming Vampire. Some of your spirits do a flash. Route Chains grants all your spirits flash. Cemetery Illuminator here is a card advantage card. It doesn't technically draw a card, but it is good card advantage. It's 1 blue. Whenever a Cemetery Illuminator enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. Any graveyard, your opponent's graveyard, whatever. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. They have a lot of that text now. A lot of cards do that, which is kind of fun to just peek at your library, see what's going on. And once each turn, you may cast a spell from the top of your library if it shares a card type with a card exile with Cemetery Illuminator. I think you can just do creature. Usually creature is good because you have more creatures than anything else that you can exile, and then you can cast your spirits off the top of your library. So it's really good. And the new technology Wizards using is once each turn, or this ability triggers once each turn to keep things from going like infinite or going crazy. So I think that's good technology. It does make things wordy, which is unfortunate, but I like it. The last set of creatures I call the utility and fat. Catilda Dawnhawk Martyr, 1 white. Flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. It might be important if you're playing against Edgar Markov, but it's not that important. Its power and toughness is equal to the number of perms you control that are spirits and or enchantments. So that's cool. It counts as stuff because it's a spirit. So it starts off with 1/1, but if you have tons of spirits, this gets really big. And you get Disturb for 3 white, which is the enchantment version of itself. Enchant creatures, flying, lifelink, protection for vampires. It gets +X, where a number of perms that are spirits and enchantments. So that's big fat. Mirror Entity, Shapeshifter Changeling is also a spirit, of course, because all changelings are everything. Then your spirits are small 1/1s, and you can pay X, and then they all become XX and gain all creature types. So they all become spirits, even though they are already spirits. Remorseful Cleric, Graveyard Hate. I always like to have lots of Graveyard Hate. I try to include 1, so Remorseful Cleric is in there as Graveyard Hate. Angel Flight Alabaster. So this is cool from original Innistrad. Beginning your upkeep, return target spirit card from your graveyard to your hand. So you get things back. When they die, they make a 1/1, and then you get them back with the Angel. Mirror Hall Mimic. So this is a clone that is a spirit. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a spirit in addition to other types, and they get Disturbed for 5. Then right here, you get Enchant. Oops, I'm like losing the card. Enchant Creature. Beginning your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of Enchanted Creature, except it's a spirit in addition to other type. Now, if you read carefully, it doesn't say enchant creature you control. You can enchant your opponent's creature, and you can get copies of them. Of course, your opponent can kill their own creature or something, but I think that's a neat play. And then you have Glassable Mimic, modal double-faced card. It's just a shapeshifter. It's not a spirit, but it just can copy whatever you need to copy, which is, I think this is one of the great modal double-faced cards out there. So these are other card draw abilities I was talking about. Skull Clamp, of course, you're playing 1/1s. I know if you have a Lord out there, it doesn't work very well, but sometimes you don't have full synergies, but Skull Clamp is very good with your spirits, draw tons of cards. I would advise clamping the tokens first because having real cards matters for Millicent. Distant Melody, 3 in a blue. So this is like an old card, but it does work really well. Choose a creature type. Of course, we know what type that is. Draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. So you can draw lots of cards if you have lots of spirits out there. Bident of Thassa is whenever your creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card, which is the same wording on Reconnaissance Mission. However, they have other trinket texts, creatures your opponents can attack this turn if able, or cycling 2. Probably not a good idea to cycle Reconnaissance Mission unless you're desperate for a card. You can just put it down and just draw a bunch of other cards. Kindred Discovery, kind of the same text here whenever you attack, but it's also whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enter the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. So this is really good because you're making lots of creatures, attacking, making more creatures, drawing tons of cards. Kindred Discovery is one of your best cards in the deck. Next is Skull Clamp, of course. And Vanquisher's Banner, again, a little anti-synergy with Skull Clamp here, but whenever you cast a creature of chosen type, draw a card, and then all creatures of chosen type get +1/+1. So it lords everything, but it does give you card draw, which is what you want in this deck. You want to fuel the deck with more spirits because spirits are cheap and just constantly play out spirits, draw cards, play out spirits, draw cards. So that's the point of the deck. Well, maybe when I say Kindred Discovery is a very important card, also Cathar's Crusade is also a very important card in the deck. You would definitely want them both in the battlefield at the same time, because whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Wow, that's insane. Your guys get really, really big. Coat of Arms. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with it. Now, this is a global effect, so don't forget about that. If your opponents are playing tribal deck, then Coat of Arms gets a little hairy. But you are playing a tribe that just spits out so many creatures of that tribe, kind of like elves, which spits out lots of elves. Spirits spits out a lot of spirits, so this usually benefits you more. Chroma's Will, not Memorial. Chroma's Will, Lightning Grease, Swiftfoot Boots, good protection here. This gives you extra buffs, lifelink, double strike when you need it. Trailblazer Boots is essentially a equipped creature has non-basic land walk. Means equipped creature is unblockable in like 99.9% of the games because everybody's playing non-basic lands. So it's really good to get Millicent. You can equip it to Millicent, get Millicent in there, generate a 1/1 token, and do some commander damage. Then we have removal. I think the problem with commander I've seen is everybody just spits out creatures just like you are. That's what you're doing too. It's just things get too overwhelming too quick, and you need more board wipes. But single targeted removal is also important because sometimes you need to kill that one creature very efficiently. You have 3 1-mana spells that kill a creature. We have Generous Gift that kills anything, which is really good. Then we have essentially 5 board wipes here. Some cheap ones. Vanquisher Horde, extremely cheap. Supreme Verdict, uncounterable, 4 mana. Fell the Mighty. This is not a common one, but destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. So if you could just point to your 1/1, destroy everything that's bigger. It's really good sometimes. Cyclonic Rift, of course, Cyclonic Rift is Cyclonic Rift. Onto Inversion, destroy all non-land permanents. Again, these all say destroy. It's not an exile clause. When you destroy, that means they die. That means Millicent will trigger. You'll make 1/1s, and then possibly could cast Millicent on the same turn that they all died. With maybe you do Vanquish the Horde for 2 mana, 5 spirits die. You could tap 4, cast Millicent again. It could be a thing. Ramp package is simple because we're just starting off casting spirits, casting spirits just to get Millicent cheaper. So I guess spirits is our ramp to Millicent. We do have Wayfarer's Bauble, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, the Azura Signet, Talisman of Progress. So the mana rocks here. Smothering Tide, of course, playing white, we gotta play Smothering Tide. Land package, of course, Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Sea of Clouds. We have New Deserted Beach from Midnight Hunt. The Azura's Dual Lands here, and some fetch lands. Utility lands, we have Castle Vantress to Scry. It's a blue land. Moorland Hunt, exile creature card from your graveyard. Just in case you can't get back, make a spirit. So you got a land that makes spirits, which is really cool. Scavenger Grounds, Graveyard Hate. Urza's Saga to get your Skull Clamp or Soul Ring. Basically, anytime I play Skull Clamp now, I always play Urza's Saga because Skull Clamp is just that good. War Room, draw some cards. Then we have some basics, the island and the plains. All right. That is the deck tech. If you enjoyed this video so far, give the video a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new videos. I have the deck tech, TCG player, and channel Fireball affiliate links in the description below to help support the channel, or if you're curious to see how this deck is constructed. We're going to shuffle this deck up real quick, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Turn 1 as usual, right? First turn of the game. Don't be afraid to mulligan to some cheap spirits. You know, again, use that mulligan to your advantage. I know some playgroups are like mulligan till you have a playable hand. Some playgroups are like use the mulligan rule. So don't abuse the mulligan till you have a playable hand, till you have like a god hand. Some people do abuse that and always mulligan to a soul ring. You know, I don't abuse it, but I know some people do. All right, let's take a look at our hand. We have some basic lands. I actually don't like these basic lands. It's hard to tell the difference from far away. Like right now, you can tell the difference because you can see the colors, but far away it's hard. Okay, so we do have a good curve here. Mausoleum Wanderer, Metallic Mimic, Scheichelgeist. So you got 1, 2, 2. Binant Thassa. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Your turns are dictated. You just need one more land to do the 1, 2, 3, 4 curve, but let's check it out. All right. Draw a card. Ooh, Path to Ancestry, which is really good. Do some scrying here. Now, here's a question. If we play Mausoleum Wanderer, we need land. This is a tap land. We might not play this on time. We could play this turn 3, tap land. But if we do tap land first, right, Path of Ancestry, what we could do is Metallic Mimic and then play these two, and this will get +1/+1 counter. I think the extra damage doesn't matter that much, so I'd rather just get the +1/+1 counter here. So turn 2, that's perfect. Right here. And remember, Path of Ancestry does let us scry, which is really good. We got Rattle Chains, another 2-drop. Put that in there. So we got to play our Metallic Mimic. The Metallic Mimic doesn't trigger Path of Ancestry because it's a shapeshifter on the stack and it's a spirit in play. So just remember that. I know it's a little weird, like rules of Magic, but it is what it is. All right, turn 3. Here we go. Generous Gift. Okay, we'll play our planes. We'll cast Path of Ancestry here. For a blue, we will play our Mausoleum Wanderer, which does, you know, share a creature type. So now we'll scry. Kira, Glass Mirror. Oh, we definitely like that one. So we don't need to scry again. Oh, well, I can't probably scry again because we only have one Path of Ancestry. But this ETBs with a +1/+1 counter, which is super sweet. Then we could play our Scheichelgeist here. Do we play this? I think so. I think we'll save. I know Rattle Chains have done at flash speed, but next turn we could just hold up mana for get Generous Gift or Rattle Chains, or play our Binant Thassa. So I actually don't know. I'd rather just play Scheichelgeist, get over with, because early in the turns, if people want to spend removal, they can. It just wastes their mana. I mean, they'd rather just mana ramp or develop. So right here, bam, and then, you know, if somebody's open, they can attack somebody for 2, but usually just keep it up right there. All right, turn 4. We haven't ramped, but we do have a bunch of creatures out. So we have ramped for Millicent a little bit. Kira, that's the one we knew about. Plains, so now we start to need more lands. All right, what to do right here? So we can cast Millicent, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can cast Millicent, start making creatures. We can cast Binant Thassa right there. So I think that's better. We can Binant Thassa, start getting in there, drawing some cards, you know? So we'll cast Binant Thassa and then maybe Millicent next turn. Right there. And let's say somebody doesn't have flying creatures, we can just, you know, poke in for 2. Draw 2, which is great. Now this is deal combat damage. It's not attack. Some things have an attack trigger. Some things deal combat damage trigger. So Kindred Discovery, this is the attack trigger, not deal combat damage. Skull Clamp. Wow, that has some good cards, but that's not a land. We need lands. Okay, we pass the turn. Turn 5 here. Right there. Now we can start talking about casting Millicent. Hopefully draw a land. We have drawn a bunch of cards. Okay, that is a land. That's an island. So we'll play that in island pile here. Now we can just cast Rattle Chains like just straight up to give Millicent a 1 mana reduction. Here, Millicent is now you got 3 spirits, so it's a 4 mana value command or 4 casting costs. It's only 7 mana value. Or we can cast Kira right here. Let's actually cast Kira because we can cast Rattle Chains at flash speed. Oops. Actually, we can't cast Kira. I take that back because if we cast Kira, we cannot cast Millicent. So I think what we'll do is we'll just cast 1 blue here. We'll cast our Rattle Chains. You know, sometimes you don't need to use it at flash speed. Sometimes you can. And we have 4 spirits right here. We'll just play this. Rattle Chains does come into play with a +1/+1 counter. Sweet. Then we'll cast Millicent here. Millicent does come into play with +1/+1 counter. I do get to scry from Path of Ancestry. Let's see what it is. Command Tower. We do need some land, so we'll not put in our hands, just keep it there. Then what we can do is, these are summoning sick. Gonna attack with our little doodads. Right there. Now we have 2 triggers, Bion Thassa and Millicent. One here. And if anybody tries to kill something, you can sack this and make them pay extra. So let's say, you know, hypothetically during somebody's turn. Well, let's resolve our triggers first. I'm too ahead of myself, but we made 2 spirits because now we deal combat damage, and then we drew 2 cards from Bion Thassa, so we have more spirits here. Sweet, and they all come on +1/+1 counter. So that is sweet. Metallic Mimic doing work there. And then remember, you can always use Mausoleum Wanderer for its ability to protect your spirits. Let's say somebody tries to do Swords Plowshares and they don't have all the mana, you could just sack it. Right here, just sack this, counter it, make another spirit with a +1/+1 counter on it, of course. Let's take one more turn here. I think this would be a very fun turn. Here we got 3 spirits with +1/+1 counters, Shackle Geist. Remember, they fly, which is great evasion. We love the evasive creatures here. Turn 6. We do have a Command Tower in our hand, which is excellent right here. Another land, Desert Beach, comes into play untapped, just like Command Tower would. Now we got Kira to protect all our stuff. We'll just tap this to put Kira into play. Right here. We'll put Kira. Remember, with Rattle Chains, everything has flash speed. But Kira triggers only, you know, if it's in the battlefield. So if somebody casts a spell and you cast Kira afterwards, Kira won't trigger. But put Kira into play here. I think that helps protect a lot of your stuff. Now, Remorseful Cleric. You use that flash speed. You cast Skull Clamp, start clamping things. I know we could cast Kindred Discovery, but we have a lot of cards already. We don't need that many more cards, do we? Of course we need a lot of cards. What am I talking about? Remember, you only have 2 flying creatures here in Millicent, so you can attack with these. Maybe draw some cards. Now, if the unfortunate event happens that you do get a board wipe happen to you, so what I would do is I would just play a Skull Clamp this turn and not overextend to the board. But hypothetically, if a board wipe did happen to you, you would just get 1, 2, 3, 4. And Millicent does count itself, so whenever it or another non-token creature you control dies, so you would get, you know, 5 spirits in return for your troubles. So you would get all these +1/+1 counters out of the way, unfortunately. So you just have 5 spirits. So it's not that bad. If you do get a board wipe happen to you, end your turn here. Well, we got to pretend we drew a bunch of cards for, I totally forgot my turn counter, for attacking and dealing damage. But let's say somebody does a board wipe against you. It's not that bad. You got 5 spirits and a turn. You still have Skull Clamp. You got Bion Thassa to draw more cards. So let's hypothetically take another turn with that board wipe happening to us. Yet Millicent, the command zone, died once. Now costs 9 mana value, but if you have 9 spirits, we have 5, so it discounts by 5. So it only costs 4 real mana to cast. We'll draw a card. So we'll play our Command Tower. It's better than Hollow Fountain because that costs life to put into play. Then if you know, play Remorseful Cleric here, play Nico Ona right there. Don't forget to scry. Oh, Mirror Hall Mimic, we like that card. And then we don't have mana for this one, but we could keep mana out for Pongify right there. Now if we tapped our mana correctly here, we could just play Millicent, because now we have 7 spirits right here. Play Millicent, back out. Right here, bam. See? Millicent helps recast itself. These spirits are not summoning 6, so you can attack. They don't trigger Millicent because it's non-token, but they do trigger Bion Thassa. If they get through, you draw like, you know, a couple cards. You can even sack creatures to draw cards. Maybe they block 2, but you draw 3, so super sweet. And then your hand's always loaded. So as long as you have a Bion Thassa, Kindred Discovery, you can even clamp these creatures, draw cards, so you can have so many options. So that's how Millicent works. I think it's super cool to have these little spirits, and they're just like ready to like go in. You can always chump block with the spirits. You can block with Remorseful Cleric and sack, remove graveyards. Right there. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, you bounce this back to your hand, so you can kill more enchantments. So I think this deck is super fun. You do go really wide and you get tons of value. So I really like this deck. And you know, definitely if you've been here this long, listening to this video. I hope you make the deck because I really recommend it. This also comes from the pre-con, so you know the pre-con has a bunch of these cards for you, and it makes it much easier to make the deck. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, give the video a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new videos. I have the deck list, TCG player, and channel Fireball affiliate link in the description below. And as always, have a wonderful day.